Welcome to learners. Now we will discuss about quicksand condition and hydraulic gradient. Now see this figure. Now we are having a sample of soil. Okay, that is connected. Bottom is connected to some reservoir. Okay, the total pressure head available at the bottom of the soil sample is can have this length of the sample plus delta H on the top of the soil sample. Okay, so just saturated. So water table is at the top of sample. Therefore, head available is 0. So to find out what is the total stress at the bottom of the soil sample, this bottom. So at the bottom of the soil column, total stress is equal to gamma for the water table is at the top. Therefore, saturated soil. Therefore, gamma saturated into L. And what is the pore pressure at the bottom? So water level. See, this is connected to the reservoir. So whatever the pressure from you are getting, that is the water pressure. That is equal to L and plus delta H. This is the total head that's pressure head that's acting here. Therefore, the water pressure at the bottom soil sample is equal to U is equal to gamma W into L plus delta H. So during quicksand, what is the quicksand condition? During the quicksand condition, the effective stress at any point in the soil mass reduces to 0. So that condition is called as quicksand condition. So in that case, the entire soil becomes 0. Therefore, the soil becomes like a liquid. That's only we call that as quicksand condition. So the effective stress is reduced to 0. Now in this case, we know sigma total stress and pore water pressure. Now effective stress is equal to sigma minus u. That is equal to, therefore sigma is equal to u. So equating these two, we get total stress is gamma saturated into L, that is equal to gamma W into L plus delta H. Now if you take L common, so in terms of L we are getting one side, so gamma saturated into L minus gamma W into L. So that comes to L into gamma saturated minus gamma W is equal to gamma W into delta H. So what is gamma difference between gamma saturated and gamma W? This is nothing but submerged unit weight, gamma dash. This is called as gamma dash submerged unit weight. If we can call this as L into gamma dash is equal to gamma W into delta H. And if you bring this L to delta H by L, this becomes now delta H by L is equal to gamma submerged by gamma W. So we know delta H by L is called as hydraulic gradient, but in this condition, when for the quicksand condition, the effective becomes equal to 0, the corresponding hydraulic gradient we call it as critical hydraulic gradient, and that is approximately equal to 1. Nearly it will be around 1 for different soils based on the soil. Okay. Now the expression for critical hydraulic gradient is submerged weight gamma dash divided by gamma W. So that is the expression for critical hydraulic gradient. So if substitute, what is gamma dash? What is gamma saturated? Gamma saturated is, we know, Gs plus E into SR. So here SR is 1. So Gs plus E by 1 plus E into gamma W. That is gamma saturated. So minus gamma W. So Gs plus E by 1 plus E minus into gamma W minus gamma W. So if we cross multiply here, this becomes So GS I can write this as GS plus E divided by 1 plus E into gamma W minus gamma W. So divided by gamma W. So we take gamma W common. This gamma W gets cancels. Now this becomes here. So GS plus E. So this becomes equal to what? This will be equal to what? GS plus E divided by 1 plus E minus 1. So if you cross multiply this, what happens? GS plus E minus 1 minus E divided by 1 plus E. So what you are going to get, plus E my gets cancelled. So what you get, that will be equal to what? GS minus 1 by 1 plus E. So that is the expression for critical hydraulic gradient. So this is IC is equal to this one. Gamma submerged by gamma W, but gamma submerged is gamma saturated minus gamma W. So I have substituted here. So we get finally this one. Therefore, for critical hydraulic gradient, the expression is, so this will be equal to what? GS minus 1. GS means physical gravity of soil solids. GS minus 1 divided by 1 plus E. But usually GS is around 2.65, 2.65 or 2.7, minus 1 is 1.7, and E will be around 0.7. So 1.7 by 1.7, therefore we get almost all 1. That's only, it is nearer to 1. So at any point within the soil mass, the magnitudes of both total stress and pore water pressure depend on the groundwater position. With a shift in water table due to seasonal fluctuations, there is a resulting change in distribution in pore water pressure with depth. So because of seasonal variations, there will be variation in the water table. So change the water level below ground results in changes in effective stresses below the water table. A rise increases the pore water pressure at all elevations, thus causing decrease in effective stress. In contrast, a fall in water level produces an increase in effective stress. So changes in water level above ground do not cause changes in effective stress in the ground below. So changes in water level above ground level, so do not cause any change in effective stress in the ground below. A rise above ground surface increases both total stress and pore water pressure by the same amount, and consequently effective stress is not altered. So if the water table is above the ground level, and if that varies, then in that case there is no change in the effective stress. In some analysis, it's better to work with the change of quantity rather than in absolute quantities. So the effective stress expression in then becomes so sigma is equal to total stress minus sigma u. If both total stress and pore water pressure change by the same amount, the effective stress remains constant. So total and effective stress must be distinguishable in all calculations. Ground movements and instabilities can be caused by changes in total stress, such as caused by loading by foundations and unloading due to excavations. They can also be caused by changes in pore water pressure, such as failure of slopes after rainfall. So these are all the effects of changes in pore water pressure that causes in that one. That's only for very fine sands and silts. What happens is during earthquake, because earthquake forces, suddenly the earthquake force is applied to the soil mass, which increases the pore water pressure because the pressure force exerted does not dissipate. So it gives rise to increase in water pressure in the fine sands and silts. Therefore, pore water pressure is increased. But that sudden there cannot be escape of water suddenly because of the fine size pores. Therefore, that pore pressure reaches to a level such that effective stress becomes zero. Therefore, the soil at that place becomes almost liquid like. That's only if the structures considered on such soils, what happens? They collapse. That's called as liquefaction of soil. So this occurs mainly in fine sands and also in fine silts. So Japan is a place where many places or towns are subjected to liquefaction. So because the earthquakes are more in Japan, so therefore they get this problem. So this is recording quicksand condition and also deriving expression for critical hydraulic gradients. So thank you for listening. I pray Almighty to provide enough energy and capabilities to move ahead.